Hello and welcome to the Irish Aesthete. Previously I've been speaking about Frederick Hervey, Bishop of Derry, and one of the most colourful characters to be found in late 18th century Ireland. Bishop Hervey, as I've explained, enjoyed a substantial income from the tithes of his wealthy diocese in the region of £20,000 per annum. This money allowed him to indulge his passion for building large houses. One of these houses was Ballyscullion, the fragmentary remains of which can be found in woodland almost 40 miles to the east of Derry city. Ballyscullion stood for only a short time before the man who inherited the property, the Reverend Sir Henry Harvey Bruce, removed the contents and other items from the building and left it to moulder away. Now, some of you looking at that image of Ballyscullion will have experienced a strange sense of déjà vu, and you were right to do so, because the house bears a striking resemblance to another one that can be found in Suffolk. Ickworth, which features exactly the same central circular domed block with quadrants leading to wings, was begun in 1795 on the orders of Bishop Hervey and on his family's estate. How had this come to pass? Well, you will remember that our hero had been a third son whose original appointment to an Irish bishopric, that of Cloyne, had come about thanks to his eldest brother George, the second Earl of Bristol, after the latter had been made this country's Lord Lieutenant for a short time in 1766-1767. George died unmarried in 1775 and was succeeded by the next in line, Admiral Augustus Hervey, who, despite having a series of mistresses, again died without leaving any legitimate heir. And so, in December 1779, the Bishop of Derry became the fourth Earl of Bristol, hence the name by which he is commonly known, the Earl-Bishop. One obvious consequence of this change in circumstance was that, as well as having got the family title, he also inherited the family estates, and this is supposed to have effectively doubled his annual income. And given his lifelong passion for building houses, it's hardly surprising that he should decide to do just that at Ickworth, the Hervey property in Suffolk. Now, the architect at Ickworth is often claimed to be an Italian who the Earl-Bishop had met in Rome called Antonio Asprucci. But does this really stand up to scrutiny? While no doubt Asprucci had some hand in the building's design, he played no part in that of the almost identical Ballyscullion, the architect of which was Hervey's Irish favourite, Michael Shanahan. Furthermore, the building work at Ickworth was overseen by a pair of Irish siblings, Francis and Joseph Sands. Joseph was actually a clergyman, appointed domestic chaplain to the Earl-Bishop in the late 1780s, but also then given the role of Clerk of Works at the site in Ballyscullion. Meanwhile, his brother Francis was an architect, and when the building began at Ickworth, both he and Joseph moved to Suffolk in order to oversee the project. So, as you can see, the links between Ickworth and Ireland are pretty damn strong. But what became of the bishop's two Irish houses once his attention became focused on a new project in Suffolk? The sad fate of Ballyscullion I've already explained, but Downhill, his other great mansion overlooking the North Atlantic, fared much better, since his heir in this country, the aforementioned Reverend Sir Henry Harvey Bruce, decided to live there, taking with him, as I said earlier, all the contents from Ballyscullion. Downhill thereby became something of a treasure house, benefiting from many items collected by the Earl-Bishop on his earlier travels in Italy and sent back to Ireland. Alas, many of them were then lost in a disastrous accidental fire that broke out in the building in 1851. Although a programme of restoration work was initiated in the early 1870s, the place never really recovered, especially as a series of deaths led to heavy duties and the inevitable sales. During the Second World War, Downhill was used as a billet by the RAF, and a few years into peacetime, it was unroofed and permitted to fall into ruin. Today, what remains on the site is under the care of the National Trust. And what of the man responsible for commissioning this and all the other houses we've been looking at. What happened to him? As I've mentioned, from an early age, the Earl-Bishop had loved to travel through mainland Europe. It's said all those hotels, such as this one in Paris, which are called the Bristol, derive their name from the perambulating Earl-Bishop. In the early 1790s, he went to Italy to buy works of art for the new house at Ickworth and never came back again. He'd always loved Rome, seen in the background here in a portrait of him by Hugh Douglas Hamilton. But times were perilous. When the French army invaded Italy towards the end of the 18th century, he was imprisoned and the collection he had assembled confiscated. In July 1803, he was on his way back to Rome, again seen here in the background to another portrait by Hugh Douglas Hamilton, this time with his granddaughter Lady Caroline Crichton, when the Earl-Bishop was forced to stay overnight in a farm outbuilding near Albano. The couple who owned the property seemingly wouldn't allow a Protestant prelate into their house. And there he died. His body, supposedly shipped to England for burial at Ickworth, packed into a crate marked antique statuary. It was an ignominious end to what had been a truly remarkable life, and there, alas, packed into his crate, we must leave him. Thank you so much for watching the Irish Aesthete. I look forward to seeing you here again soon. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Goodbye.